Good evening. Welcome to this bonus edition of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful, comfortable, and fall-like conditions of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and as well as on Substack. Hopping into this bonus edition episode, guys, there's a lot of NFL news breaking from last night going into this afternoon. I was at work. I was staying up with it as much as possible, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I had an episode to bring the content to y'all as always. You know, it's Blood Talk Sports Podcast. Always hard hitting with the facts and with the content. So, hopping right into it, we're going to pretty much touch on the game that was last night's game. That was the Giants versus Steelers, which being quite honest with you, was not really even a fucking football game until the third quarter. But shout out to the black and yellow. Shout out to the black and gold for getting that W. Um, it was weird because let's be honest. If you're looking at it for what it is, you're looking at this game and you're like, okay, all right. Well, it's kind of tighter than what we expected. It just seemed like both teams were settling for a lot of field goals, not executing drives, not getting touchdowns. Both teams were. I mean, it was very remarkable to see what the Steelers were doing. Russell Wilson, again, I'm one of those type of people where if I'm wrong, I'm going to state it, and I have no reason or rhyme more reason to hide from that shit. So I'm going to state it for what it is. Russell Wilson has played well in these two games that he's played. I want to get into the numbers for him, but more importantly, before I just get into the numbers, I definitely want to just highlight one. I thought he was washed. I thought this guy did not have shit left in the tank, and it seems like playing with this team has kind of revitalized him, kind of giving him a new lease on life. And you gotta give him props for that. I gotta give him props. Like I said, he's playing a way better brand of football than I even thought he would be able to play currently at this point. And shout out to him and shout out to the black and gold. But looking at his numbers from last night, Russ last night was amazing. 20 of 28, 278 yards, averaging 9 yards per attempt, had a touchdown. Play action game was definitely fluid with them last night. Got to give Russ credit. Got to give Najee Harris some credit. Najee Harris, 19 carries, 114 yards. He was averaging 6 yards a carry. This was possibly the best game of the season for Najee Harris. And Lord knows, playing the Giants defense, their run defense is fucking terrible. So playing them will definitely help. Shout out to Najee Harris. Didn't get that 5th-year extension like he was expecting going into the season. Didn't get that contract extension like he expected, but playing, he keeps up this level of football with Warren as well, because even Warren had 9 carries for 46 yards and was averaging 5 a carry. They keep this brand of play up. This Steelers team is going to be hard to beat. Although, that being said, defensively, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried for a Steelers fan. The Giants should not have been in that game the way they were in that game. I got to give Brian Daboll excellent amount of credit, a huge amount of credit. I mean, to have that team, after getting their ass handed to them against Philadelphia the week prior, having that team ready and prepared to play, 400, and I want to make sure I'm getting this correct. I do believe they had 400 yards of offense. I mean, my God. Yeah, right here, total yards. My God, yeah. You had 157 rush yards, 237 passes. So you had 400 yards of offense. That's the best performance the Giants have had all year. Credit to Brian Daboll for getting those guys to step up. I'm going to touch on what the Giants' real problem is in a second. But just going over some of the particulars, there's some penalties in there that could have cost them too. Kind of save the penalties that were saving the Giants on certain drives. There were situations where, teams just couldn't really get in the red zone. They were killing each other yards-wise. They were both moving the ball up and down the field. But this game really opened up in the third quarter once the field goal exposition, I should say, finally stopped. It was definitely great to see. But I just liked how the Giants ultimately kept Pittsburgh honest by running the ball, even when it wasn't working for them. Because there was some times where Tracy and he exploded. I mean, like I said, going into Tracy's game, it was amazing. 20 carries, 145 yards, career high. He had a rushing touchdown, was averaging 7 yards per carry. Got to give it to the Giants' run game. They kept guys honest, and you got something here with Tyrone Tracy Jr. It looks like you might have something with this guy. Devin Singletary, even though he had 2 carries for 11 yards, I mean, let's be honest. As long as his run was 7 yards. Tyrone Tracy is your running back for the future, so got to give the Giants credit for that. Offensively, they showed up. Defensively, outside Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, depleted on the back end. I mean, the Giants are just depleted. Linebacker play's been suspect. Corner play's just been garbage. Yeah, I mean, and then like I said, after halftime, you saw Pittsburgh kind of take the lead. You saw Pittsburgh was 16-9 at that point. Pittsburgh was trying to take the game, busted wide open, but it just seemed like once Pittsburgh got their feet under them, the game was pretty much over. Daniel Jones. I'd be remiss and I'd be bullshitting all of us if I didn't get on Daniel Jones. I said it in the short earlier this morning. I'm going to say it again. Daniel Jones' ass. Daniel Jones' ass. And you're probably wondering why did I say Daniel Jones' ass. Let me case in point you. Daniel Jones was 24 of 38. That wasn't the problem. Daniel Jones had 264 yards. That wasn't even the problem. The problem was 6.9 yards per attempt, so 7 yards an attempt. Russell Wilson has been on the bench for most of the year. The bench. Okay, had not played but only a game up until last night, which made the second game. Okay, he was averaging 9 yards a pass. Somebody looks refreshed. Somebody looks like they're just still dinking and dunking. Obviously the costly interception, the tip ball interception, as usual. Put a pop. It's like put a quarter in. Here comes an interception for Daniel Dimes or Danny Dimes or Daniel Jones, whoever the hell acronym you want to give him. He has, and he's not cutting mustard. He's not doing it. The Giants definitely got to get off this guy. If they want any chance at winning, they got to get off this guy. Because any competent quarterback play, and I've said this throughout the season, you would have possibly beaten the Bills had you had competent quarterback play. If you had competent quarterback play against the Bengals, you possibly would have beat them. And you possibly would have won this game if you had competent quarterback play. You haven't had it. Daniel Jones has just been a walking fucking mediocrity. And, costing his team games. And I hope ownership can save face because they were so worried about making sure they didn't overpay for Saquon and they didn't overpay for Xavier McKinney. How do those moves look now? You look real fucking stupid, Giants. Joe Shane's getting fired. I just need to reiterate that to you. The man's losing his job. For you to be a Giants GM and to fuck both of those moves up. Going even further, like I said, gotta give the Giants credit. They had 17 first downs. Steelers had 20 in this game. The third down efficiency was what was shocking. The Giants had converted 5 of 15 third downs. Steelers 6 of 13. So Steelers was definitely more efficient. The fourth down conversions, 1 of 1 for the Giants, none for the Steelers. And I think something that bothers me with Brian Daboll that I've noticed a lot, and I kind of wrote it down in my notes last night. It just fucks with me. He amazes me with his play selection at times. He gets a flow on offense, and either he or his team do some dumb, inexplicable bullshit that leaves you shaking your head and leaves them just in flux and leaves the team in disgust. Fourth down attempts, not switching up blocking schemes, and overall just Daniel Jones' lack of pocket awareness is just shitty. And like I said, shout out to the black and gold, but more sadness for the Giants and more mediocrity on the horizon. It's bad times in New York. And then my fucking Yankees are losing right now. They're down 0-3. Looks like they might get swept. Just bad times in New York. The only New York team, in my opinion, that counts is the Yankees anyway, but I digress. Hopping into this next bit of news, injury update, Stefon Diggs. Veteran wide receiver. guy that just came over in a huge trade with Buffalo this offseason. We kind of thought he was going to be one of the linchpins or one of the links to help this Texans team rise above it. And yeah, his season has been cut short with a torn ACL. He is out for the rest of the season. I have comments here from D'Amico Ryans and what his viewpoint was on the injury, but this is, make no mistake, this is a huge blow to this Texans team. This Texans team had it all, they weren't playing great as is. It wasn't like they were necessarily playing phenomenal football, but they were playing at a good clip, good enough to win, and this guy was productive. If I'm correct, I want to say, don't quote me on that, but I want to say he was 7th in the league in receptions right now, but like I said, it sucks that he got injured, but, and he's going to be a free agent next year, so it's interesting if they're going to re-sign him, if somebody even takes a risk on him and gives him that type of deal, or what happens, because him getting injured and going into free agency, it's not a good look. Good thing he got his money. But I don't know if he'll be commanding a top salary contract from any NFL teams going into the offseason, especially with a torn ACL. Now, in fairness, technology is better. So, it's not like necessarily he's going to be completely out of it, but bad times for the Texans, tough times for the Texans, but more importantly, even rougher for Stefon Diggs, and hopefully praying for his recovery. Some more wide receiver news that I thought was definitely interesting. Diontae Johnson, formerly on the ship that is sinking, known as the Carolina Panthers. Diontae Johnson has been traded to the Baltimore Ravens. And it was kind of shocking, not really shocking, because we kind of knew the Panthers were in sell mode. I kind of talked about this the other day on the episode, recapping Week 8 and saying they're pretty much, Week 7 and Week 8, I said they're going to be sellers. They're going to be one of those teams trying to get rid of guys. Again, I like the pick. I like the move for the Ravens of the quick initial reaction. But however, the real problem is your defense is weak. Your defense has been very, very suspect this year, and they've gotten away with the fact that Lamar has played out of his mind. And I know some people, have gotten upset. I heard Chris Sims say yesterday on Pro Football Talk that people are kind of crowning the Ravens and kind of giving the Ravens, praise as if they've accomplished something already. And I get it. I completely get it. I mean, it's not like they've played the greatest football in the world this year. And don't get me wrong. I think most of the problems have been defensively for the Ravens. I don't feel that a lot of their issues have been offensively. I feel like in the beginning of the season, they were still trying to figure out how to use Derrick Henry. Once they figured out how to use Derrick Henry, at that point, it was like, they got it. They got it. But nonetheless, looking at their defense, and again, look at this. They're 26th in the NFL in defense. You're grabbing wide receivers because you're trying to break the game open and score more points. I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong, but Zay Flowers has played well this year. You've had Bateman show up in some games. I get it. You don't have that third guy. I completely understand, but this move really doesn't make any sense to me when you need defensive help badly. I mean, the Ravens are known for fucking defense, and they don't really have it right now. Like I said, they're ranked 26th in the NFL at defense currently. And you can say injuries, you can say a lot of things, but, I mean, my God, 26th in points, 25th in yards. Not great. 31st in the passing attempts, 32nd against the pass. They need defensive help. So, acquiring, Diontae Johnson, that's great. Don't get me wrong. That's fantastic, but that's not really the answer. It's not really the answer. Your defense is atrocious, and you're kind of just like, we're going to be all right because we got Lamar. Just think it's a bad look. Don't really think it's a good idea. But, I mean, ultimately, they're trading him for a mid-round pick. He's being traded for a fifth, so it's not like any real collateral or anything that they're really losing. But draft pick's still a draft pick, and you need defensive help. So, kind of shocked that they made this trade for Diontae Johnson, but not really thrown off by it because they're trying to score points, and I get it. They're in a division and they're in a conference with the Chiefs, and they got to score. So I get it, but probably would have made the move for the defensive player, honestly. D lineman, linebacker, another corner. Nate Wiggins has been dealing with injuries. We all know Marlon Humphrey's not going to be there after next year. Kind of would have made the defensive player move, but we'll see. It's the Ravens. They'll figure it out. They typically do figure it out. And last but not least, wrapping up this bonus episode, Anthony Richardson being benched for Joe Flacco. I have the comments and quotes here from the Colts staff and coaching staff and Shane Steichen's comments the day prior, Monday, in regards to this. Kind of knew this was coming. Didn't think it would happen. We kind of thought, this was going to be a show of face. This was just a coach trying to show in the media he has some strength. But shout out to Shane Steichen. Anthony Richardson admitted he tapped out. He got tired. He was winded and came out for the final two plays, which, we all know is weak sauce. We all know he's been roasted and flame broiled on every damn sports talk radio show or every podcast that's out there. So I'm not going to just partake in it. I spoke on it. Him tapping out was fucking weak. He shouldn't have did it, but regardless, he tapped out. He's playing hard, but it's not a good look as far as a leader for a team. But you learn this when you're 22 years old, and this is your first time being a quarterback of a major NFL franchise. So I'm not dumb, naive, or stupid. He'll figure it out. However, what does this mean for his development? Hopefully something, because he's played downright fucking atrocious this year. Anthony Richardson, if you really want to be technical, he has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this year. Completion percentage has been bad. Interception and touchdown ratio hasn't been good. It's just not good football. Here you go, case in point. Let's go into the stats for this year. Okay, yeah, come on now. God. 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's been sacked 9 times. Passer rating of 57.2. Completion percentage of 44.4%. It's not getting it done by any stretch of the imagination. And he's already lost 6 fumbles this year. This is not good. You can't fake this. You can't fake this. This is how bad it is. Shane Steichen did this, and I don't think they're doing him like they did Bryce Young. I think this is more or less, you need to sit your ass down and really watch how the position's played and really learn from this shit, because you're clearly not ready to be the starter yet. And I don't mean ever. There's just certain shit you say and do and know that you don't do. You don't leave your game with 2 plays left in it in the fourth quarter. You don't do that to your team. You're a leader. You're literally the face of the franchise on the field. So when you walk off and you quit, you don't think anybody's going to notice that? And I get it. You got gas, but no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. You're the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. You're the quarterback of a major NFL franchise. Show the fuck up. Do more wind sprints. Do better conditioning. That's exactly what that means. You run the fucking ball. You got 241 or 242 rushing yards on the season. So I'm not sure exactly how or why you're not really developed or conditioned properly for this. This is something that you should have been well prepared for. But again, he wasn't. And I get it. Played a hard game, Maybe wasn't really, maybe was a bit worn out, but it's no excuse, man. So the benching was definitely necessary. But hopefully he learned something. Hopefully this improves his passing. Hopefully he can definitely just learn from this moment, because it's definitely a teaching moment for him. Yeah, you can't continue on the way you were playing and the way he was doing and think that it was okay because they deemed him the franchise quarterback because he was a high pick. Bullshit. He's playing like dog shit. But I want to take my moment out and say this. Now, that's Anthony Richardson. You see completion percentage, 44%, playing in the tank, right? Has Shane Steichen as his offensive coordinator, right? Going with Justin Fields. And I think Justin Fields has had a good year. I think Justin Fields has played very well. Going Justin Fields stats right here. I'm pulling it up. Yes, Justin Fields has 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, passer rating of 93, right? And like I said, it's very good. I have no arguments with any of that. I completely understand that guys got to play and, guys got to grow and all that, right? But now let's take in mind the guy that I heard that all offseason pundits and analysts alike try to compare this guy to. How you heard them say, oh, well, look what Shane Steichen did with Jalen Hurts. And, Anthony Richardson is just going to adapt. You've seen the numbers. Does it look like he's adapting? Justin Fields, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Okay. Looks like he played well, right? Just for your update, just so you know, Jalen Hurts has almost 1,600 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a passer rating of 98.6. So, yeah, all that talk about, all these guys got to do is just step in his position, they could play, or, getting with his offensive coordinator, the same results are going to be like, wash, rinse, repeat. Not fucking likely. You guys got to understand leadership is not something that you can buy. You got to really learn that shit and really go through some shit. So, shout out to Jalen Hurts and his leadership. Definitely damn sure glad he's the team, the quarterback of the Eagles. But Anthony Richardson's got to grow from this. Because again, could you imagine if that had been Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen that did that? So that's going to do it for this bonus episode. Like I said, I just definitely wanted to give that this midday episode, mid-evening now episode. As always, like, share, subscribe. Check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and as well as on Substack. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Stay tuned for episode 87. Which should be coming. If not tonight, you'll be seeing it tomorrow. But definitely stay tuned for episode 87. There'll be more content coming out. Love you guys. Thank you for the support. The show's growing, getting bigger by the moment. Soon we'll be able to have merchandise and some things listed up so you guys can purchase and buy for the show. But as always, thank you. Take care and enjoy your night.